Hey YouTube, it's BrandonColonel. I'm going to be doing my next knife review on the Kershaw Tone. This is an Academy exclusive knife. The only place where you can buy it is Academy Sports. You can probably find it on the secondary market, say eBay or Amazon or other places like that. But otherwise, you probably won't find this knife really anywhere. Because, like I said, it's Academy exclusive. You actually can't even find it on the Kershaw website. I've looked and it's not on there. But I assure you, this is an actual Kershaw product. Comes in the Kershaw packaging, Kershaw labeling. It has the Kershaw logo and patented Kai USA printed on the back of it. So, I assure you this is an actual Kershaw knife. Now, as far as the specs go, it is the typical 8CR13 MOV, and that is a stainless steel. It is Chinese, but I've never had a problem with it in the history of me using this steel. So it holds a phenomenal edge, which I am very impressed with as far as that steel. Which, for those of you that don't know, 8CR13 MOV is the equivalent to AUS 8, which is a Japanese steel. Which, honestly, in my opinion, I don't see why people get so worked up about that one being Japanese, and then start dissing on 8CR13 MOV just because it's Chinese. They're still two foreign steels, so why people who say go for made in America, AUS 8 is still foreign. So stop knocking on this one when AUS 8 is just as foreign. So that's my little rant for today. But so on to blade specs. It is speed safe, which just has the torsion bar, which is a bent titanium rod. So it's not truly spring assisted, but it basically that's what it is. Speed safe has the torsion bar. And you can take it out if you want to, but which I've heard people de-assisting some Kershaws and saying that they actually work better. I've never tried it because I prefer the spring assist because it makes sure that there is not going to be a failed deployment, especially in times when you really need it. And in tactical knives, if it doesn't have a good spring assist, I may not actually buy it. I will not use a manual folder as a tactical. That's just the way that I see it, because they're slower, and please don't tell me that you can get a manual just as fast, because I know that there are people who practice with them like that, and they can actually probably get them faster than I could with spring assist. So please don't tell me about that, because I actually have gotten faster with certain manuals than I could with a spring assist, but I have since gotten out of touch with that since I prefer the speed safe. But so it is a speed safe opener. It is a 3 1/4 inch long blade. It is 7 3/4 inches long. And as far as the handle thickness, it is just shy of 1/2 inch thick. So it's pretty beefy as far as the thickness goes. And just as a little bit of comparison, here's my ZT-0350. The thickness is the exact same. Like, there is no difference in the thickness. So, but the thing that makes this a little bit easier to handle than the ZT is the ZT is a little bit beefier in the width, whereas this is a lot thinner. Has a thinner profile, so it's just easier to grab onto, and you don't really notice the thickness of it because the width is so much slimmer. Now, it is a G10 scale handle plating, and it is very, very high quality in my opinion. It is incredibly grippy. I have no qualms about how grippy this is. And it is black oxide coated, and I don't know exactly how scratch resistant that is, because I've only been carrying this for a week at most, and I haven't really used on that much that would actually be able to scratch it, even if it was just like a cheap Teflon coating. But overall, it seems like it's going to hold up pretty well. If anybody knows anything different, please let me know. But it is a terraced dual thumb stud opener as well as a flipper. The thumb stud is a little finicky, but it does work very well if that's what you want to use. You could very easily practice with that and get a little bit better at it. But the flipper is the main form of opening, and I feel that just works a lot better. And it is a torque screw pivot bolt. The pivot bolt can be easily accessed by pretty much the torque screw that would come in just about any screwdriver set. So no problems there. It's not exactly a custom screw, but then again, for $30 knife, what would you expect? The pocket clip is reversible. I prefer mine for tip up carry, because it just allows you to get it out of the pocket a lot faster and have your finger already on the button. So that way you can get it out as fast as possible. Now it does have a backspacer. Don't exactly know what the backspacer is made out of, but it runs up the majority of the knife, so it gives it a little bit of extra backbone. And it has stainless steel liners, which they kind of cut away from the black a little bit, which sometimes you just want a little bit different look into it than just straight jet black. And as far as my overall opinion of the knife and my after use impressions of it, it is very sharp, and being a tanto blade, like the Americanized tanto at least, then with the straight edge, then it's going to lose its edge a lot faster than if you had the exact same knife, exact same heat treatment, same everything, but in a drop point blade. Then this is probably going to lose its edge a lot faster. But also this is more meant for piercing than it is for slashing. But this is razor sharp, and you could easily use this for slashing. It would just lose its edge a lot faster. Now, as far as how sharp it is, let me find a piece of paper real quick, and I will show you. Let's see if it can cut the receipt paper. Okay, no problems whatsoever with cutting the receipt paper. And so, like I said, it is razor sharp. And so if it can cut receipt paper, it'll do just about any task that you need. This would be a good EDC knife, but you would find yourself sharpening it just a little bit more. The finger choil is a little bit oversized and somewhat boxy. I don't prefer the large finger choil on this. So you kind of want to choke down a little bit so that way it has a little bit more ergonomic feel. Whereas if you choke up, then you're going to have both of your two front fingers inside of it, and it's just not quite as good. So if you were doing really detailed task work, then you would have to have these two fingers in, and this part right here would become a bit of a hot spot. And so right here on my finger starts it's almost painful somewhat. Now another beef about this knife is that it doesn't have any jimping right here. Now I'm a sucker for jimping on my knives. That is actually possibly a deal breaker if I find another knife the same price point and a similar design, but that knife has jimping. Now it may actually even be made of weaker steel, but if it's similar in what I'm looking for at the time and it has jimping, I may actually go with that one instead of something like this. Now in reverse grip, it's actually a lot more comfortable, because for one, if you do choose to have two fingers inside of the finger choil, then you're having your smaller fingers, so it's not quite as bad. But also this slant right here, then that kind of makes up for the lack of jimping on the reverse grip, because you just have some to lock your finger into a little bit more if your thumb overlaps, you can kind of use this point right here as just a secondary way to lock it in, or you can just simply put it on that ramp, and then that gives you a little something extra to grip onto. But you can also still choke up a little bit and give yourself just a little bit more comfortable carry. Now the hip flipper does add as a secondary blade guard, and it works fairly well. There's a little bit of jimping on the bottom of the flipper right here, and so that does prevent you from slipping up a little bit more. As far as piercing capabilities, I would say it's pretty good. It's not the best that I've ever owned it, but it is fairly decent at what it does. And I wouldn't say this is hair popping sharp, but you probably could if you worked at it and just made sure that it got to that edge. Again, I wouldn't be sure about edge retention and how long you would keep it, but it would definitely be able to get there if you put just a little bit of work into it. And it would probably take to being reprofiled just a little bit into a narrower angle. But and by the way, this is also a liner lock, which it has actually a little bit past 100% lockup. So, but this is solid lockup, absolutely no blade play. Well, come to think of it, it does have just a little bit, but that can be easily fixed just by tightening down the pivot bolt just a hair. But even then, I can only feel it if I'm at the very tip of it. But there's no front and back blade play at all, which is a plus for me because there's no there's absolutely no way to fix front and back blade play. You can fix side to side blade play by tightening down the pivot screw. Now, as far as the lack of jimping is concerned, if you're going for a thrust, then if you do a sideways thrust it like this with the blade horizontal, then these milled out areas can actually lock your thumb in place and almost act as your jimping, and that can lock your thumb in place if you're going for the thrust. Now, the reverse grip carry, like I said, this would easily work instead for going down for a stab. But so that's my overall opinion of the Kershaw Tone. Now the exact model number is 3430. So this knife was about $32, and so it's about a middle of the range knife. So for those of you that can afford it and you have an Academy Sports in your area, this is a very good knife to go to. But it does have its problems, but then again, for $32 you can't exactly expect the world. So this is a very good knife. If you can get over the downsides that it has, this would be a phenomenal knife to have. And the reason why I was actually buying this is because I'm actually trying to get a tactical knife for my mother, who I need her to have a tactical knife just for my own peace of mind, because just certain things happened a while ago that I just feel she should have something on her person to protect her. So if I feel safe giving this to my mom, I would feel safe saying that anybody should have it. So it is a good tactical knife, and as always, stay safe.